Hello and welcome to another video by me, Tori. Today I really wanted to come on and speak and share about identity shifting, stepping into a new version of yourself, stepping away from something that isn't working for you, and that uncomfortable middle bit of your growth. Because I feel like we can get so stuck, or so tripped up by that middle bit that we go back to the comfortable familiar and we never reach where we want to go. So I've had many experiences like this. I've jumped timelines, I've shifted identities a number of times in my life, but my current identity shift has been the biggest so far, also the most uncomfortable. So I'd really like you to think of maybe a time where you've tried to reach a goal or change a habit or become a different kind of version of yourself because it feels like that's who you want to be or that is who you truly are. But then you keep getting sucked back to those familiar thought patterns, those familiar behaviors, those familiar habits. That is your ego keeping you safe. So it's doing its job. It wants to keep you in what you know to keep that feeling of safety, even if those habits, those behaviors, the person, thought patterns, whatever the person that you're being, even if that isn't healthy, even if those choices are not good for your well-being, even if those thought patterns and those behaviors are actually quite toxic. The ego does not know the difference. It just knows that it is familiar, so it feels safe and it wants to bring you back to safety. So when we're reaching for a new identity, a new goal, a new life, a new job, a new whatever it is, you have to go through the uncomfortable middle bit where your ego is still clinging on because it's like a death of a part of you. But you need to keep your vision, your trust that you are going in the direction that you are meant to be going to reach the goal, the outcome, the person that you want to be. That is where a lot of people get tripped up because it feels too uncomfortable. So they slip back into the old familiar feelings, behaviors, habits, thoughts, whatever. So hopefully you're thinking of a experience you've had in your life that is similar to what I'm sharing with you. And I'd really like you to try and remember the feeling of really wanting that outcome, taking the steps to get there, feeling like you're almost there, and then slipping back. It takes a lot of courage, it takes a lot of focus, it takes a lot of trust to change our lives, to change ourselves, to learn something new and implement it. There's a lot of effort that goes into it, and there's a lot of that feeling of being uncomfortable. And also, obviously, depending on how big a change it is. So even if you want it really badly, your ego, your mind is trying to keep you safe and familiar. So how do we go through the self-doubt, the self-sabotage, the is this right? Is this really what I want? Maybe I'm just a dreamer. Maybe I can't actually do it. How do we not ignore that because you want to acknowledge those, say thank you. I understand you're trying to keep me safe, but I don't, I don't want to hear that and focus on your dream. I'll share a little bit of a personal experience, especially a recent one, because it's been one of the biggest things. Knowing the life that I want, the person that I want to become to live that life, I I was faced with quite a big realization. So as you may have known from a previous video, I spent most of my early years in addiction. There was lots of change, lots of loss, lots of grief in my very early childhood. I don't have a lot of memories. Then in my adolescence, I would do all that I can to not be in my body, to not feel, to disassociate, to try and fill a void, to try and get love and connection, but in a completely wrong ways, although it felt right at the time. And that was through lots of addictive patterns. Then about 7 years ago, well, a little bit longer than that, I'd say like 12 years ago, I started coming out of those addictive patterns. And then 7 years ago, I'd stopped them all, or at least I thought I did, because I found myself in a very familiar environment, in a relationship, in a marriage that was my safety, was not healthy, but it was safe for me because it was a familiar feeling of control, of coercion, of emotional abuse. And the life that I had started to build without my addiction and feeling my body, feeling my feelings, I was suddenly faced with a massive opportunity to grow. But I spent 5 years like my soul was being sucked again. I minimized myself. I went back to my people pleasing. I wanted to be accepted so much that I gave myself up. I wanted that whole family so much that I pushed down my needs, my desires, my dreams. And I realized 4 or 5 years later how I was being treated and the person that I had become. My mental health had come back, my struggles. I reached out for support because it had got very challenging. I had a baby and I was pregnant again, and I was thinking I can't be in this situation and live my life this way. So I found that strength through some support to leave. And I have been rebuilding my life and my identity for the last 7, 8 months. Luckily, I have a lot of tools and modalities from prior that I can use myself. And I have also been investing in coaches and therapists and business and other things, self-care things like workouts and stuff. And I have been reaching or thinking about this person that I know I am and I am becoming, creating this very successful lifestyle. But to do that, you have to go through these processes. Again, it's that grief, it's that loss, not just of the life you thought you were living, but the parts of you that were attached to that life. You let that go. Your ego's clinging. You go through ups and downs and waves, and like maybe this isn't right. Maybe I've made a mistake. And then you pick yourself back up and you really focus on that vision again. Every time I ask myself, what life do I want to lead? And I always come back to the same thing, which is why I know that it's my truth. So I share this with you to hopefully inspire you and give you some value that if you are going through a moment of doubting if you are doing the right thing, you are taking the right action. First of all, if you're taking action, amazing, because so many of us are not. Secondly, always ask yourself, what is my dream life? What's my dream person? And if you keep getting the same answers, then you are on the right track, then it is your truth. Now, there might be some things that obviously change a little bit, and you might get to that dream and then you've got a different dream. Like, obviously, there's shifts and changes, and life is not linear by any means. But the core feeling, if it's the same, then it's your truth. So, whenever you have a wobble, whenever you have a thought coming in, I'm not good enough, maybe I can't, all of those things. Maybe have a vision board, maybe have a script that you like to read out about those feelings that you're feeling, being that person, what's in your life, who's in your life, structures, business, friends, food that you eat, what's your decor look like? How do you spend your days? Like, really get very detailed in it. And if you can do that quite frequently, quantum physics, if you want to look into that, or I can, if you're interested, I can give you a very simple video to look at that. But quantum physics says that if you really hold that and you really feel it and you believe it, then it's yours. The quantum has to shift and adapt to what is your truth, and your truth is created by your mind and your beliefs and your emotions. Okay. So identity shifts, going through that uncomfortable middle. It's your ego clinging onto the old parts of you. It does not want to let go. It wants to keep you safe. Acknowledge it. Say, thank you for keeping me safe. Thank you for all that you've done for me so far, but I am choosing this moving forward, and name what this is. Yeah. You have got this. Being human is really challenging. There's so many nuances. There's so many, like, with our emotions as well as our experiences, as well as when other people are involved. It can be a lot. And so many of us shut down, and we don't try, and we don't take action, we don't strive for our dreams because we've been conditioned to think, oh, you're a dreamer, just stop dreaming, just get on with the life that you have. But I'm here to tell you there is so much more for you if you have the courage, the heart, and the grounding or support to actually open, expand, and surround yourselves with the people that are already living what you want to show you what is actually possible. Because anything is possible. You just have to open your mind. Okay. I hope this was of value. I hope it was helpful in some way. And I am sending you so much love and so much harmony.